Hi, today I want to share with you one of my very favorite books. This book is titled Those Shoes. It's written by Mary Beth Boeltz and it's illustrated by Noah Jones. Are you ready? Those Shoes. I have dreams about those shoes. Black high tops, 2 white stripes. Grandma, I want them. There's no room for want around here. Only room for needs. That's what my grandma says. And what you need are new boots for the wintertime. Brandon T comes to school in those shoes. He says he's the fastest runner now. Not me. I was always the fastest runner before those shoes came along. Nate comes to school in those shoes. Antonio and I count how many times Nate goes to the bathroom. 7 times in one day, just so he can walk up and down the hall real slow in those shoes. Next, Alan, Jacoby, and Terrence, they get those shoes. Oh, it feels like everybody around him is getting those shoes. Then one day, in the middle of kickball, one of my shoes, it comes apart. Looks like you could use a new pair of shoes, Jeremy, Mr. Alfrey, the guidance counselor says. He brings out a box of shoes and other stuff he has for kids who need things. He helps me find the only shoes that are my size. They're Velcro, like the ones that my little baby cousin Marshall has to wear. They have animals on the front of them like a cartoon that I don't think any kid ever watched. He's not feeling so happy about the shoes the counselor gave him, is he? When I come back to my classroom, Alan Jacoby takes one look at my Mr. Alfrey shoes and he laughs at me. And so do Terrence and Brandon T. And then so does everybody else. The only kid that is not laughing is Antonio Parker. At home, Grandma says, "Well, that was very kind of Mr. Alfrey." I nod at her and I turn my back. I'm not going to cry about any old dumb shoes. But when I'm writing my spelling words later, every word looks like the word shoes. And I grip my pencil so tight, well, I think it might bust. Ever felt like that? Maybe disappointed or frustrated because you didn't get something that you really, really wanted? I think that might be how Jeremy's feeling. Maybe he's feeling a little frustrated and disappointed. On Saturday, Grandma says, let's check out those shoes that you're wanting so much because I've got a little bit of money set aside and it might just be enough. You never know. Oh, at the shoe store, Grandma turns those shoes over so she can check the price. When she sees it, oh, she sits down real heavy. Maybe they wrote it down wrong, I say. But Grandma shakes her head. Then I remember the thrift shop. What if there's a rich kid who outgrew his shoes? Or maybe he got 2 pairs for Christmas and he had to give one of them away. So we ride the bus to the thrift shop. There's black cowboy boots. There's pink slippers. Sandals. Nope. High heels. Oh, there's every kind of shoes except those shoes. We ride the bus to the second thrift shop. Not a pair of those shoes in sight. Around the corner is the third thrift shop. I see something in the window. Black shoes with 2 white stripes, high tops, perfect shape, $2.50. Those shoes! My heart is pounding hard as I take off my shoes and I hitch up my baggy socks. How exciting, Grandma says. What size are they? I shove my foot into that first shoe. I curl my toes to get my heel in. I don't know, Grandma, but I think they fit. If you have to curl up your toes to get your shoe on, does it fit? Doesn't fit, does it? Grandma kneels down on the floor and she feels for my toes at the end of my shoe. Oh, Jeremy, she says, I just can't spend good money on shoes that don't fit you. I pull the other shoe on and I try to walk around. They're okay, I say. I was holding my breath and I was praying that my toes would fall off right then and there, but my toes don't fall off. I buy those shoes anyway. I buy them with my own money and I squeeze them on and I limp all the way to that bus stop. At home a few days later, Grandma puts a new pair of snow boots in my closet and she doesn't say a word about my 2 big feet that were shoving around in my 2 small shoes. Sometimes shoes will stretch, I say. Grandma makes a sad face and she just gives me a hug. I check every single day that those shoes didn't stretch. I have to wear my Mr. Alfrey's shoes to school instead. One day during math, I glanced down at Antonio's shoes. One of his shoes is taped up. His feet look smaller than mine. After school, I head to the park to do some thinking. Antonio is there. Antonio's the only kid who didn't laugh at my Mr. Alfrey shoes. We shoot some baskets. A loose piece of tape on Antonio's shoes smacks the concrete every single time he jumps, and I think, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. We leap off the swings. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. What do you think he's thinking about? What do you think he thinks he's not going to do? We race from one end of the playground to the other. I'm just not going to do it, I say. Do what? Antonio says, breathing real hard. Grandma calls me for supper and she invites Antonio over too. After supper, he spies my shoes. How come you don't wear them? Antonio asks. I shrug. My hands are sweaty and I can feel him wishing that those shoes were his shoes. That night, I am awake for a long time thinking about my friend Antonio. When morning comes, I try on those shoes just one last time. See his shoes under his bed. Before I can change my mind, the shoes are in my coat. Snow is beginning to fall as I run across the street to Antonio's apartment. I put the shoes in front of his door. I push that doorbell and I run. At school, Antonio is smiling so big in his brand new shoes. I feel happy when I look at his face and mad when I look at my Mr. Alfred shoes. But later, when it's time for recess, something happens. Everywhere there is snow. Leave your shoes in the hall and change into your boots, the teacher announces. Leave your shoes in the hall. It's when I remember what I have in my backpack. I have new boots. New black boots that no kid has ever worn before. Standing in line to go to recess, Antonio leans forward and he whispers something in my ear. He says, "Thanks." I smile and I give him a little nudge. Let's race.